out to Cal Young's favorite rap artist, Bob Brinkman. As I said earlier, there's a wide range of bacteria, naturally occurring bacteria, that break down the oil in the wild. And with its natural seeps coming out of the ground, just like here, but their water temperatures are warmer, those bacteria have ideal conditions for breaking oil down. So oil's not a stranger to the Gulf of Mexico. There's lots of great bacteria there. And if we had more time, I would use Chex, but you can do this at home. Think about a simple bag like this of Chex or any kind of mixed grab crackers. You have the things that are easy to eat, the little crackers themselves, a little bit harder to eat, the pretzels, and then the really hard things to eat, the nuts. And if you had bad teeth and couldn't eat the hard things, you'd end up, after you ate a bag of Chex, the bottom of it would have nuts in it. I think you kind of get the whole idea with that. The ecology of microbes that break down oil is a lot like that. Some of the microbes are really good at breaking down the really light stuff. Remember the alkanes? Well, here is Alkanovorax borcumensis, and I just made that up. I mean, I didn't make the name up, but there might be another way to pronounce it. You can ask Brad. This particular bacterium loves alkanes. It loves marshmallows and toothpicks. And it was only discovered in 1998. Some people consider it to be perhaps even the most important oil-degrading microbe. It belongs to a group of microbes now called hydrocarbonoclastic bacteria. Hydrocarbon, breaking, and classic meaning breaking down bacteria. And the interesting thing about Alkanovorax is that it actually also produces natural dispersants. It has its own Dawn dishwashing liquid factory in its cell as well. So it produces the natural dispersants, breaks down the oil, extracts the alkanes, and lives happily. And here you have a picture. It was just published a couple weeks ago in Science of bacteria. There's bacteria in there that are really hard to see munching on, and hopefully all of you know that bacteria don't have teeth or mouths, so the alliterative equivalent of eating at very small. In this particular study that was published August 24th, they did cell count, so they just collected water. They put it through a set of genetic screens to figure out what the concentrations as well as the types of bacteria were. And here you can see, in this case, not much of a change, but here you see elevated concentrations of the bacteria associated with these oil plumes. This is the closest to the well. So in this case, perhaps these particular group of bacteria that they looked at hadn't really grown enough or become accustomed to the oil. Here would be sort of the ideal distance. These are very preliminary data, and these data were actually taken before, in early May, actually May 25th and June 2nd these samples were. So this is before the plume. When this paper came out, which didn't come out until August, all the newspapers said the oil plumes being broken down by bacteria very quickly. And we now have data that shows oil plume existing after this study. But if they didn't include that information, you didn't know that. So, thank heavens. So everybody's happy. The other thing about these bacteria, it was as if these bacteria were designed by BP. They're breaking down the plume of oil, and they don't use much oxygen either, because as all good oceanography students know, the Gulf of Mexico has an oxygen problem. There's big dead zones there because of the process of eutrophication, which is really just a word you'll just have to look up or think about. David Valentine, who is a scientist at UC Santa Barbara, and I'm not going to show you this, but PBS has a good 1-minute interview with him. He talks about his work. He was sent there to look at how bacteria are breaking down the Corexit dispersed oil, so that's a really good thing to think about. Here's the results of that study. Oil-eating microbes plentiful in the Gulf spill. Thank heavens, new microbes eating oil spill. They even found a new species of, I think there were gamma proteus type bacteria. The microbiology students would know what that is in that particular paper. Microbes munching the oil. haven't robbed the Gulf of oxygen. Bacteria just saving the day. Until we discover that, oh, there's still oil down there. And in fact, Samantha Joy, in just some results from September 5th, this was published on her blog. It hasn't even made it to the publications yet. 2-inch layers of oil. This is a core. We'll talk about geology a little bit more. But here we see a layer of oil sitting on the seafloor. We have no idea how much oil is down there on the seafloor, because what do you know about the seafloor if you've ever been there? It's dark, and it's really hard to tell. Really, the only way you could send ROVs or AUVs out to try to track it, but it's very difficult. It's right where BP wants it. I'm not trying to beat up on BP, but for them, that's great. It's on the seafloor, out of the way. It's not affecting the fishermen. And really, that was a decision they made early on. At least if it's out on the seafloor of the Gulf, it won't harm anything. Or not. I think the LA Times really summed it up pretty well. The effect of the dispersants are still a mystery. And today's headlines from a few hours ago, they're finding tar balls now in eastern, I think it's North or South Carolina. I didn't even say where it was, if you know where Harkins Island is. That doesn't mean those tar balls are from the spill, but it's possible. And so within the next few days or a week, somebody will analyze that stuff and be able to tell you if that's where it's from. I want to end with this thought. This is just a simplified diagram of ocean food webs. And if we think about the things that go on the seafloor and how the seafloor interacts with the upper water column with its classical food web and its microbial food web, and all the exchanges that go on and organisms that move up and down in the water column and currents that can bring upwell water to the surface, it's going to be a long time before we really know the complete story with that. If you're Pseudomonas putida, it's like a whole garbage truck full of Doritos have come down through the ocean for you. If you're other kinds of creatures, it might not be such a happy day.